Hello, welcome to the HR Diary. Today, I'm going to show you step by step how you can use XLOOKUP in Excel. XLOOKUP is a powerful Excel lookup function that can replace VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, IFERROR, and even index and match. This is the formula for XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP runs on 6 arguments: lookup value, lookup array, return array, if not found, match model, and search mode. The last 3 arguments here, bracket here, are optional. In this example 1, I want to look up Bob Tan. All right, I want to look up Bob Tan and return his salary, which is to the right of the lookup value, Bob Tan. So to do this, I'm going to type equals to X lookup, open parenthesis. So this starts the XLOOKUP function. The first argument is the lookup value. In this example, the value that I want to look up is Bob Tan, and this is in cell H5. So I will select this cell H5 and type the comma. The second argument is the lookup array. Lookup array is the range to search. In this example, the range that contains Bob Tan is the cell C5 to C10 for the lookup array. Or I can simply click column C. So I will select column C and type comma. The third argument is the return array. Return array is the range to return. In this example, I want XLOOKUP to return salary. And salary is in the range D5, is in this range D5 to D10 for the return array. Instead of selecting these cells, I can simply select the whole column D. So I will select column D here, right? And let's put in the comma. So the other arguments here in bracket, if not found, match mode, search mode, these are optional. And I won't want to use it for now. So I will just type close parentheses and hit enter. So using XLOOKUP, Bob to search Bob Tan. Bob Tan's salary is 1,001, which is here. So it gives me the correct value. Now let's move on to the second example here. In example 2, I want to look up Bob Tan and return his rating. Earlier we returned the salary. Now I want to return his rating, which is to the right of the lookup value Bob Tan. To do this, type equals to X lookup, open parenthesis, and this opens the lookup function. The first argument is the lookup value. Lookup value is the value that you want to look up. In this example, the value I want to look up is Bob Tan, and this is in cell H6. So I will select this cell H6 and then type a comma there. Next, the second argument is the lookup array. Lookup array is the range to search. In this example, the range that contains Bob Tan is cell C5 to C10. So I can either select these cells or I can simply select the entire column C. So for this example, I'll show you that I am going to select C5 to C10, then type in the comma. The third argument, the return array, is the return array. Return array is the range to return. So in this example, I want XLOOKUP to return the rating. And rating is in cell E5 to E10. Again, I can either select these cells or I can select the whole column E. But just now, since I selected these cells, I from C5 to C10, here I will select E5 to E10. So next, the other options, the other arguments here, if not found, match, and search mode, they are optional. So again, I won't want to use them now. But I will go through later. So I'll just type the close parentheses and hit enter. So using XLOOKUP, Bob's rating is 5 here. So if you look at Bob Tan, his rating is 5. Next, let's go to example 3. In example 3, I want to look up Bob Tan and return his ID, which this time is at the left of the lookup value Bob Tan. Just now the lookup salary is on the right, rating is also on the right of Bob Tan. This time I want to look up the ID, which is on the left of Bob Tan. If you were to use VLOOKUP, you can only go from left to right, and you won't be able to look back at values to the left of your lookup value. However, with XLOOKUP, you can look at values to the left of your lookup value. So now, let's begin by typing in the equals lookup, open parenthesis. So again, sorry, I need to type in the XLOOKUP. All right, so this starts up the XLOOKUP function. So again, the first argument is the lookup value. Lookup value is the value that you want to look up. So in this example 3, the value that I want to look up is Bob Tan, and it is in cell H7. So I select this and I type in the comma. The second argument is the lookup array. Lookup array is the range to search. In this example, the range that contains Bob Tan is in this cell C5 to C10. All right. So I can either again select this, or I can simply select the whole column C. So now I will select the whole column C, type in the comma, and the third argument is the return array. Return array is the range to return. So in this example, I want XLOOKUP to return the ID. All right. And ID is in this range B5 to B10. So I can either select this B5 to B10, or I can select the whole column B. So I will select the whole column B. Since just now I select the whole column C, both have to be equal length, so I select the whole column B and type in the comma. So let's see. Again, the other options are optional. So I will just type in the close parentheses and hit enter. So using XLOOKUP, Bob's ID is 1002. So if you look here, Bob's ID is 1002. So XLOOKUP has given you the value. Now let's move on to example 4. In example 4, I want to find the full name of Alan using the wildcard asterisk function. So visually you can see that the full name of Alan is Alan Fu, but I want XLOOKUP to look for it, especially when you got the whole list of data. You will need the Excel to look for you. All right. So let's begin by typing equals to XLOOKUP, open parentheses. Against this starts up the XLOOKUP function, and the first argument is the lookup value. So this is the value that you want to look up. And in this example, the value that we want to look up is Alan. So, and it is in cell H8. So I'll select this so that it selects this cell H8. All right. And then I will type N. All right. This is to join up with the next thing that I'm typing up. So to use wildcard, you need to type in the open quotation mark, type in the asterisk and close quotation mark, and type in the comma. All right. So the lookup value, what this is saying is you look up H8, you look up Alan, and an asterisk. That means any other word that is behind Alan, all right, which is Alan Fu here. All right. So now let's move on to the second argument, the lookup array. Lookup array is the range to search. In this example, the range that contain name is in cell C5 to C10. All right. So I will select cell C5 to C10 and type in the comma. Now, the third argument is the return array. The return array in this case is also C5 to C10 because the name is there. So I will still select C5 to C10 and then I will type in the close parenthesis and hit enter. So it looks like it did not work. It gave me a NA sign, not applicable sign, because the reason is because I did not use the match mode. All right. So I need to use the match mode. So let's go back to the formula. And after this C5, C10, type in the comma, all right? Then it tells you that the fourth argument, if not found, do I want to enter it in? I don't need if not found now, so I will type in another comma. All right. Then it moves on to the fifth argument, the match mode. So in the match mode, so in this wildcard, even if you type the asterisk in the lookup value here, you still need to go to the match mode and select this number 2, wildcard character match. You need to select this to tell XLOOKUP, the XLOOKUP function to accept wildcard character. All right, the wildcard character asterisk. Okay, so I'll select this one, which is number 2 here. All right. So remember, even you put in asterisk, you need to select the number 2 for match mode. All right, and then close parenthesis and hit enter. And then we get the full name, Alan Fu. So now, if I change this Alan to, let's say, Gwen, it gives me Gwen Ng, which is here. So the formula works. Now let's move on to our next example, the fifth example. Here I want to do the vertical lookup for a column data using XLOOKUP. Now let's see how to do the vertical lookup for a column with XLOOKUP. So here I have a vertical lookup array, which is organized in vertical columns in cell I5 to J10. All right. I want to use XLOOKUP function to search for a value in this first column of my data table array and return a corresponding value from the another column here. And then fill up the percentage in this column F here. So to start, type in equals to X lookup, open parenthesis. So the first argument is the lookup value. Again, this is the value that you want to look up. So in our example, the value that we want to look up is rating, which is in cell E5. So I'll select E5 here, and type the comma. The second argument is the lookup array. I want XLOOKUP to look for rating, and the rating vertical array is in column I5 to I9. So I'll select I5 to I9. And then I will log this lookup array by putting a $ here. right? So I'll put in the dollar sign to lock the cells. You can also lock it by hitting the function F4 on your keyboard. All right. So I have typed in the E5. I have also selected I5 to I9, which is this column, and lock the cells by putting the dollar sign. All right. Then next, I'll type in the comma. Oh, by the way, locking these cells ensures that when I drag down the formula, you will reference the same row and the same column at all time. So that's why I want to lock this cell. All right. Next, the third argument is the return array. I want XLOOKUP to return the increment percentage. And the increment percentage vertical lookup array is in column J5 to J9. So I'll select this column J5 to J9 for the return array. Then I will lock the cells by putting a dollar sign. And this time I will use my keyboard to type in the function, press the function F4 key. All right, to lock this, and function F4 to put the dollar sign there. All right. So the other arguments here are optional. We will look at them later. So I will just type the close parentheses and hit enter. Now, if I drag this formula down in column F, the increment percentage will appear for the rest of the column. So notice I have got a NA error message here. This is because Wendy does not have a rating in column E. So in VLOOKUP, if you want to replace the NA message with a custom message, you need to use another formula called the IFERROR formula. So you need to use the IFERROR formula before the VLOOKUP formula. However, in XLOOKUP, you don't need to add the IFERROR formula to replace the error message. And this is because XLOOKUP has a fourth argument called if not found. So this if not found can replace error messages like this NA with a custom message, or you can replace it with a blank cell when a valid match is not found. So if you want to replace this error message with a custom message, this formula here, type in the comma, then at this if not found area, type in this no increment. All right, and press enter. Yep. So I have got no increment, the word no increment here instead. So, but if you want to replace the error, instead of with another word, you want to replace it with a blank cell, just use double quotation mark. So delete this word no increment, so that there is just a double quotation mark there, and hit enter. So you have a blank cell here. You can also replace errors with 0. So let's delete this and put a 0 there, and you get 0. Okay, so this is how you use if not found in XLOOKUP. Now, I've shown you how to do the vertical lookup for here, all right, using this vertical array. Now, let's see how to do a horizontal lookup for a column of data with XLOOKUP. So here, I have a horizontal lookup array, which is organized into horizontal rows. I want to use XLOOKUP function to look for a value in the first row of my array and return a corresponding value from another row of my array here. And then fill up the increment percentages in this column G. So this is called horizontal lookup. So to start, in this cell, type in the equals to X lookup, open parenthesis, and this again opens up the XLOOKUP function. So the first argument is the lookup value. This is the value that you want to look up. So in this example, the value that we want to look up is rating. And this is in cell E5. So I'll select this cell E5 and type in the comma. The second argument is the lookup array. I want XLOOKUP to find rating, and rating is in this horizontal lookup array. And is in this row, jchild to n12. So I'll select these rows, and then I will lock it with the $sign and type in the comma. So again, I lock this with a $sign so that when the formula is dragged down, it will reference the same row, this same row and column at all times. Okay, next. The third argument is the return array. Return array is the range to return. In this example, I want XLOOKUP to return the increment percentage, and increment percentage in this horizontal lookup array is in this cell J13 to N13. So I'll select this cell there, all right? And let's lock it as well by pressing the F function 4 key. And the other options here are optional, so I will not want to use them for this example. So I will type in the close parenthesis key and hit enter. Now, if I drag this formula down in column F, the increment percentages will show. So now again, we have this error message here because Wendy does not have ratings in this column. So similar to just now case, you can replace the NA message with a custom message. All right. So XLOOKUP has this fourth function called if not found, which is here, to replace error messages with a custom message or blank cell. So if we want to replace errors with a custom message, so just type in the comma and type no increment. There it appears. Or you can just make it blank by deleting this word. Or instead of no increment, you can type in a 0 here. All right. This is how you use the if not found in this XLOOKUP. So I've shown you how to do a vertical lookup for this table, as well as horizontal lookup. Now, let's move on to the next example, the match mode. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth argument of XLOOKUP formula is the match mode. Let's say John's income is 50,000. I want to find out what is John's tax rate for every single dollar that he makes above 50,000. All right. So John's tax rate beyond 50,000 in this table is 10%, because 50,000 is between 30,000 and 60,000. So here too, XLOOKUP can help us to determine John's tax rate. So to do it, again, we begin by typing equals to XLOOKUP, open parenthesis. So this starts up the XLOOKUP function. And the first argument is the lookup value. Lookup value is the value that you want to look up. In this example, the value that I want to look up is John's income, and this is in cell F4. So I will select cell F4 here and type the comma. Next, the second argument Okay, the second argument is the lookup array. So the lookup array is the range to search. In this example, the range that contains income is this column C4 to C8. So I can either select this C4 to C8 for the lookup array, or I can simply select column C. All right. So I will select column C and type in the comma. So now, the third argument here is the return array. So return array is a range to return. In this example, I want XLOOKUP to return the tax rate. And tax rate is in this column B4 to B8. So I can either select this B4 to B8, or I can simply select the entire column B. So I will select the entire column B because just now I select the entire column C and type in the comma. Now, the other argument, if not found match mode and the search mode, these are optional. So I won't want to use them now. So I will just type close parentheses and hit enter. So you'll see the NA message here. You're seeing it here because 50,000, there's no exact match for 50,000 here. So that's why it returns the NA message here, the error message. 50,000 sits between this 5%, between here. All right, between 30,000 to this 60,000. So to fix this, we need to use the other arguments of XLOOKUP formula. All right, we need to use the other functions here. So we can do this by typing a comma here. All right, so we need to use some of these functions here. So we type comma here, and you'll see the fourth argument if not found. So I'm not going to fill that in, so I'll type in another comma. And here you will see the fifth argument, the match mode. So here you have a few options, 0, 1, -1, 1, and 2. By default, if you don't key this in, it's set to exact match. And in exact match, you can't find 50,000. That's why I give you a not applicable. So to fix this, I will select number 1, exact match, or the next smaller item. All right. No, I will select this as 1, exact match, or the next larger item. So this is 1, and then close parenthesis and hit the enter key. So you get 10%. So what it does now is this formula looks for 50,000. And if it doesn't find in here, 50,000 it doesn't find, it goes to the next one up, which is 60,000. And the tax rate associated with 60,000 is 10%. So XLOOKUP returns the 10% tax rate. So John's tax rate for every extra dollar made beyond 50,000 is taxed at 10%. Right. Now let's move on to the search mode. Let's see how to use the search mode in XLOOKUP. The search mode here. So the sixth argument search mode allows us to specify the search order. By default, XLOOKUP will search first to last, either top to bottom or left to right. However, we can specify -1 to reverse the order and search from last to first. So these first two search modes are technically the same, but they work in different direction, regardless if your data is sorted or not. Then it returns the value from the first match that it finds. So in this data here, I want to find out the salary for the job level 1. All right. So let me type in the formula XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP, and my lookup value, I want to look for this job level. Then I type in the comma. For the lookup array, my job level is here, C5 to C10. And my return array is the salary from D5 to D10. All right. So I want to go into the search mode. So I type a comma here. I don't want if not found, so I type a comma here. I don't want match mode, so I type another comma here. And so I am in the search mode. All right. So search mode. So if I search mode, they give you a few options. 1, search from first to last. -1, search from last to first. 2, binary search sorted in ascending order. 3, binary, 2, and then -2, -2 is binary search sorted in descending order. So if I select 1, which is search from first to last in search mode, then I hit enter. So what XLOOKUP is doing is it will search from the first, for number 1, from the first to the last, and the salary that you will return is 1,000, because 1,000 is the first salary that it finds for job level 1. So now if you change this to -1, which is search from last to first in the search mode, and you hit enter, you get 2,000. This is because when you select -1 in the search mode, XLOOKUP will search from the last to the first, and the salary that it return is 2,000 because 2,000 is the last item it finds for job level 1. All right. So next, if you sort your job level in ascending order and you select this 2, which is binary search in ascending order, and you hit enter, you will get 1,000. All right. And if you sort your job level in descending order, all right, and then you select -2, which is binary search descending order, and you click enter, you will get 2,000. All right, this is how you use the search mode in XLOOKUP. Now let's move on to our last example, our example 11. So here I will show you how to do a nested XLOOKUP. A nested XLOOKUP means having a XLOOKUP within a XLOOKUP. In this example, I want to find out what is the salary increase percentage for rating 5 and for rating 5 and compound ratio less than 0.8. So I can see from this table at the insert section, it is 7.5%. So if your rating is 5 and your compound ratio is less than 0.8, you get 7.5% increment. I can use XLOOKUP to get this, and I will show you how to do it. So to do it, let's begin by typing to equals XLOOKUP, open parenthesis. This starts up the lookup value. So the first argument is the lookup value. Lookup value is the value that you want to look up. So in this example, the value I want to look up is rating 5. And this is in cell I4. So I will select this cell and type in the comma. The second argument is the lookup array. So lookup array, again, is the range to search. So in this example, the range that contains the rating is in this column C5 to C9. So I'll select this column C5 to C9 for the lookup array, and then log these cells by putting the $sign. So now I'm manually putting the $sign. So logging these cells ensure that when the formula is dragged down, you will still reference this same row and column. So next, let's type in the comma. The third argument is the return array. for the return value, what I want to do is to add another XLOOKUP function. So we are going to type XLOOKUP again, type open parentheses. Now, just now I look up rating. Now I want to look up compile ratio in here. All right. So in here, so I will select this cell J4 here, and I want XLOOKUP to find compile ratio, and compile ratio is in this column D4 to F4. Okay, first I'll type in the comma here. So for the lookup array, I want XLOOKUP to look up the compile ratio in this D4 to F4. So I will select this row D4 to F4. Then log this lookup array by putting the $sign. So I'll put in the $sign to log in this array. Then put in the comma. So next, I want XLOOKUP to return the increment percentage in this orange cells D5 to F9 for the return array. And then I want to log these cells, all right, by putting a $sign, and then I type in the comma. Next, we are looking for an exact match here. So I don't need to worry about the other arguments. So we can just type in the close parentheses and hit enter. Oops. All right. So you need two close parentheses, all right? Because you have two open parentheses, so you need two close parentheses. And when you hit enter, you get 7.5%. So for rating 5 and compile ratio less than 0.8, you get 7.5. So if you look at here, rating 5 and compile ratio less than 0.8, you get 7.5%. So it's correct. So now if I drag this down, the formula down in column K, the salary increase percentage will appear for the rest. So we have a NA error message here because FAT does not have rating in this column I. So XLOOKUP have this fourth argument, if not found, which I did not use earlier. So this if not found can replace errors message like NA with a current custom message or blank cell when a valid match is not found. So because if I want to replace the errors with a custom message, then I can type in at here the comma, open quotes, no salary increase, close quotes, and hit enter. So you get no salary increase. So if you want to replace the errors with a blank cell, you can just delete this and hit enter. So if you want to replace it with 0, you just change this to 0. So okay, this is how you do nested XLOOKUP, which is an XLOOKUP within a XLOOKUP. Okay, that's it. I've shown you how to use Excel's XLOOKUP function. Thanks for watching Excel Tricks by the HR Diary. If you're not a subscriber, click down below to subscribe so you get notified about similar videos that we download. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the HR Diary channel.